Hi everyone, Catrice here, the makeup loving amputee. Today I'm going to answer the question, what was easy before my amputation and harder now? I'm going to split this into two categories, one without my prosthetic and one with my prosthetic. So one of the first things that I struggle with, probably the thing that I struggle with the most is just getting out of bed to do anything without my prosthetic on. I get caught out a lot when I want to, just do something really quick and I don't want to take the time to put on my leg. So if I'm lying in bed and I want to turn the light on or off, if I want to, get up and go to the bathroom or something like that, then I definitely find that very difficult. I use a wheelchair in those situations, but even that isn't as easy as it used to be. There's no getting up and going to the toilet, still half asleep, and getting back to bed asleep by the time you've negotiated a wheelchair through my house and, through multiple doors, you're wide awake by the time you get back to bed. Okay. Another thing that I find really difficult and have from day one after I returned from showering, I have from day one after prosthetic in hospital was showering. I have a shower that is over our bath. I don't have an independent, shower that's on the floor or anything like that. We have a bath and then the shower nozzle is over it. Let me know if you don't know what I'm talking about and I can take a photo and show you. In fact, I might just include a photo so I can show you anyway. And it requires a really awkward seat to go across the lip of the bath. And it's a very small bathroom. It's an older house. And 1950s, and the bathroom's quite small, and the doorways are very narrow, which we're getting widened at the moment to accommodate with, for the times where I'm in my wheelchair. Showering presents its own challenges in that you're balancing on an uneven, or you're balancing on a slippery surface, and you're doing it all on one foot, and you have, most of the time, if you're hanging on for dear life, which I am, you have to clean yourself with just one hand, and you rotate those hands, and you hop around in the bath. So even though I have a seat, I like to stand up and get all the way clean. And yeah, that's always a bit of a challenge. The showering is definitely harder than what it was. And to sort of take the showering another step or two out, as if you have to shower in a public place, like if you participated in sports or went to the swimming pool, then yeah, that's a whole other level. Because another thing that I struggle with is just leaving the house for small errands now. You used to, if you were deciding that, you were going to sit down and watch a movie or something like that and you wanted to race out and grab some snacks, quite often I don't sit with my leg on while I'm resting. I shouldn't use the term leg while my prosthetic is on, because the other leg is always on. But yeah, the prosthetic, I don't sit with my prosthetic on, and so then I find it, just to run out and grab something small or run a small errand, pick up a child from somewhere, or, race out and catch up with friends or something for just a quick coffee. It's an effort for me to I have to get changed. Sometimes I'm not wearing clothes that would fit over my prosthetic. And then I have to get my prosthetic on. And then even just the act of, for me, leaving our house is quite a bit of a challenge. We have 3 giant dogs and a gate, you know, that prevents them from getting out onto the street. And getting, you know, I'm still using crutches. I'm not independent of crutches yet. So, you know, getting the gate open and then getting back to the car, getting into the car, a new prosthetic, which is harder also. It's another thing that's harder. Getting in and out of your car, there's tricks to it. With a lower leg amputee, you have to, you know, if you're the driver, you definitely have to slide your, you know, your prosthetic in first, and then, you know, carry on with the rest of your body into the seat. As a passenger, I find it a little bit easier because I just sort of stand with my back to the seat, sit down, and then swivel in the seat to get my legs tucked into the car. But yeah, I just, you know, I then have to back the car out from that, get back out of the car, get to the gate, you know, and when you've got 2 legs, this is not such a big deal. This is not a big chore. But when you've got, you know, crutches that you have to get out and you're struggling with your balance and surfaces and things like that, it definitely got harder. I am hopeful that as I get better in my prosthetic, and I've got prosthetics that fit better, that, you know, once I leave the house, it will be just walking like normal. Okay. I'm not an overly tall person, but reaching for things even just like remotely high now is a bit of a challenge. It's hard from a wheelchair, and it's hard on just one leg without, you know, having the prosthetic. And even if I am wearing my prosthetic, because I still use crutches, it's quite often, you know, you're lifting the crutches up with your arms to reach the things that are up high. There are some activities that I prefer to be in my wheelchair rather than using my prosthetic and crutches with, like cooking, for example. I find that in my wheelchair, I can quite often quickly move myself around and still free up both of my hands to carry, you know, things from the fridge to the chopping board, or from the chopping board to the stove, and, you know, things like that. So it's definitely, there's definitely a time and a place in my house for a wheelchair and getting, you know, just your day-to-day chores done. It's been an interesting, to find out how much you can achieve in a wheelchair when you need to. So I can carry, you know, bowls and plates in my hands and use my foot to propel myself from room to room and, you know, direct myself with just one foot to get where I need to go, just so that I can have some independence in my house. Another thing that I find a little bit difficult is negotiating around our dogs and getting knocked by them. So hopefully it doesn't get too unstable, but here's one of them hanging out with me. And yeah, it's hard work negotiating around him or them. There's 3 of them. And yeah, that's definitely been harder since getting the amputation. I also struggle to get my preferred way of exercising, which I call incidental exercising. So I'm not real keen on just exercising for the sake of exercising. Like I don't go for runs or anything like that. In fact, running, you know, it's a skill you only need if you're being chased by dinosaurs, in my opinion. Or zombies, dinosaurs or zombies, I guess. Anyway, yeah, so I prefer exercise that I get when I am just out doing stuff that I enjoy. And I find that I'm just not getting the same level of exercise yet whilst I'm either using my wheelchair or I'm in my prosthetic and using crutches. And another thing that my husband, when I asked for, my family's observations on the things that it looks like I struggle with now more than I used to. My husband told me that doing what I'm told apparently is now a struggle. I'm not sure if that's got anything to do with the amputation. It could be just whoever's issuing the instructions, I've got to believe that your instructions make more sense than whatever I think is right. An interesting one that I wasn't really expecting to be something that I would find a little bit difficult is swapping your shoes when you've got a prosthetic. Okay, so to demonstrate what I'm talking about is this is my prosthetic. It doesn't move. The foot inside it requires all of my body weight to shift. So I find, putting shoes on and off quite tricky with prosthetics, or on the prosthetic. So I tend to just stick to the same shoe. And of course, it's always the same sock, but that's a plus, not a minus. But, when you want to swap shoes out for different activities, it definitely takes a little bit of extra work on the prosthetic foot. The other thing with prosthetics is now I find some surfaces quite challenging. I have a fairly basic prosthetic still because I'm still quite new to using a prosthetic, so it doesn't have a full range of movements. It's not super flash. It's all about getting the basic function sorted, and then, we'll work our way up to that. So it's about stability, and keeping both feet underneath me. So yeah, some of the surfaces have, in the past where your body just sort of adapts, like sand, gravel, long grass. Those sorts of surfaces now present a bit of a challenge. And if you can't see, for example, long grass, if you can't see the, the dips and things in the surface of the ground, you get a bit of a fright. Well, I get a bit of a fright. And yeah, feel quite unsteady. Just to sort of jump about a little bit, one of the things that I struggle with a little bit now is heavy doors. Like if you're going into a restaurant that has really heavy doors, even if the doors are, accessible to somebody with crutches or in a wheelchair, getting through a heavy door, especially one that wants to swing back on you or swing closed on you, is a bit more of a struggle. I find that quite often, if people are around you, they do offer to help and will hold the door open for you. And it's a bit of a catch-22 in that you also need to sort of learn how to do this for yourself as well, just in case there isn't somebody around to help you. And I find it personally very hard to communicate that with the people that I'm with, is that I would like the opportunity to try and figure things out for myself first. And if I need help, I promise I'll ask. But I never quite get it verbalized that well. Slopes become trickier in a prosthetic and or a wheelchair. But for me, I don't think that is as significant a change as for somebody else who hasn't had a long-term injury, because my ankle was fused and I struggled with slopes and uneven surfaces with a fused ankle anyway. I'm trying out some new makeup that I brought, and I'll list everything down below on in terms of what I'm using today. But I thought I'd give it a try. It's Sunday today. It's the weekend, so I'm not going anywhere. And I thought I would give it a try and see what it looks like on my skin before I actually head out into the public. And this blush and highlighter duo. Wow, they mean business. But very pretty colours. I don't know if you can tell, but the highlighter gives this real kind of juicy look to my skin. It's actually quite an intense highlighter, and it leaves a very kind of wet look on the surface of my skin. It's actually quite clever. I'm impressed. I'm going to do my eyebrows off camera, and then I'll come up. And then I'll come back and I will do my eyelashes and lip gloss today. Another thing that can be a little bit tricky is getting on and off my motorbike. One day I'll record it for you. It's quite entertaining. But basically I get on from the wrong side. So it's my left leg, lower left leg that was amputated. And instead of balancing from my lower left leg, I tend to balance now on my right to hop on, and I throw my prosthetic end leg over my bike and try to get off the same way as well. The difficulty in this is that the resting stand of my bike leans the bike to the left. So you're on an angle and you're trying to, well, one, if you're trying to get on, you're getting on into something that's already leaning on an angle. And if you're trying to get off, you're trying to get off with the bike on an extra angle as well. Suffice to say that, I've only been on my bike with my husband, accompanying me. I haven't gone off on my own yet because I don't think I could confidently get on and off by myself yet. I think there's probably more things now that are a little bit tougher. Now that I've had my amputation, that were easy, and there's probably a lot more than what I have mentioned today, but there's so little in comparison to what it was like, being in pain and, struggling with a foot that didn't work anyway, that they sort of just don't register so much as the few things that I have mentioned. Which is, a good thing. I still believe that this was the absolute right choice for me. And that as I get more and more confident and, have better fitting prosthetics, that my experience as an amputee is just going to improve. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to doing things, hobbies and things that I had to give up when, before my original injury. Like I used to love skiing, and before my amputation, and between my injury and having my amputation, I haven't been skiing for 18 years. But I'm really looking forward to, as an amputee, getting up on the ski fields and having another blad at it. I think it's going to be great fun. I'll obviously be aiming for the softer snow as much as possible when I fall, just to sort of cushion that. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm just going to put a bit of liner on today. My lips really dry. They need an exfoliation. I haven't been in the best of health. I don't have COVID. But yeah, I've just had a couple of weeks of not great health. And it's very hard to talk while you're putting liner on, lip liner on. Yeah, I think it's starting to show, the not 100% health thing is starting to show in my body. And, just drier skin and drier lips. Not resting as well when I'm asleep. I did a little short for YouTube about this lip gloss that I'm using at the moment. From the time that I bought the first one, it took me less than 24 hours to go out and buy another two. So at my desk at the moment I have just two. Wait. Yeah, the other one I think I have in my handbag. They're just lovely. They feel amazing on. They look good. They're a little bit dressy without being too full on. And yeah, I really enjoy these lip glosses. So that's my look for the day, and hopefully I've given you some examples of things that have gotten harder for me as I went from being a person with 2 legs or 2 feet to a person with just 1.5 legs. And I hope that maybe the lack of severity and the things that I do miss, you know, is encouraging to anybody considering elective amputation. And, you know, for those other amputees that, you know, have their own things that they used to find easy and now find hard, hopefully it normalizes some of that for them too. If you've experienced other things, you know, funny things or, you know, just really frustrating things, then please feel free to comment below and let me know. I find it fascinating how people adapt and the things that they, you know, the workarounds that they find, you know, to overcome these challenges. Anyway, I wish you an awesome day, and I look forward to catching up with you again next time. Bye.